Well, how's it going, everybody? I'm Dr. Keyvan Aarabi. I'm running for Salisbury's District 2 City Council, and John here has given the privilege to be interviewed and to let you know who I am and what I stand for. The most important thing that I'm concerned about is the job situation in Salisbury. When I moved down here in 2012, the poverty situation for what we could see, my wife and I, was very terrible, and we wanted to do something about it, and so that's why I'm running. My platform is mainly focused on that. I know that crime is always on people's mind, but at the end of the day, at the end of the month, it's clear to me that most people want to make sure that they can pay their bills, and a lot of people right now cannot pay their bills. So I want to bring industry. I want to bring a more healthy environment for businesses through a better package of taxes and regulations. And we want to make sure that businesses are not leaving. We have to work very hard day and night, 24 hours a day, to make sure that people's lives are not at risk when a company decides to lay off people. Because when people are laid off and they can't find any jobs, they turn to crime if they get desperate enough. And most people that have been in trouble, they decided they have to basically break the law to make a living. And now, of course, anything that is wrong, but that's an important thing, but it's not the main issue in Salisbury, because when the midterm elections in 2014 were determined, the whole Eastern Shore went Republican, because people were tired of waiting for the economy to get better. Now, we're still not out of the woods, as you all know. It's going to take 10-20 years from what I can tell. We have a lot of debt from the government. The state of Maryland, our state, has a lot of debt. Governor Hogan, God bless his soul, he has done a lot to furlough and to cut back on state funding and state expenditures. I myself am one of those people who's been affected by this, because I'm a professor at UMES at Warwick on a part-time basis. So on that midterm election, I decided I need to do something for Salisbury, because really, if you don't take any action on anything, it doesn't get any better. We can't just wait for things to get better or things to improve by just wishing that something is going to come down from the sky, or for lack of a better phrase, things are going to just get better by themselves. So I wanted to do something about it, and that's why I'm here. My campaign is really not so much about advertising or trying to get your money. I don't ask for even a penny or a dollar from anybody. I spend my own money, and I get help from family and friends that don't live in Salisbury, because I think people should save every penny they have in this economy that we have today. And lastly, I come to your house and I come knock on your door so I can talk to you, so I can understand what's on your mind. And I think it's the best way that I've been able to understand people's troubles. So that's my short, long introduction, as much as I could keep it in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's cool. That's excellent.
So,
I wanted to ask you a specific question. What are your thoughts on the curfew that everybody's discussing right now?
I'm not in favor of it. I think the curfew is typical of government overreach. When I was a kid, of course, you can tell I have an accent. I wasn't born in Salisbury. I was born in Iran, but I was born a natural citizen. My mother's American, my father's Iranian, so I was dual national. And I remember that when I was a kid, we didn't have to worry about these things. Even the fact that police have to come and tell you to go home at 11 o'clock. I mean, this stuff, it was just common sense. Your parents come and tell you, it's, sweetie, it's time to come inside. It's 8 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock, it's getting dark. And we listened. That's all we did. We didn't worry about, the police and the government coming and telling us what to do. It was just a little too much. And so I think, I know that the relationship between the law enforcement and everyone in this country is a little bit tense right now because of the Ferguson shootings and everything that has happened, even in Salisbury, the girl that just lost her life. But I think that's the wrong solution, is to hire the police to tell people how to live their lives. I mean, the police, they're doing an excellent job in some things, but the relationship, from what I can tell with my campaign, is a little bit tense in some neighborhoods. So I don't think that's a good solution. I think we need to work with the parents to see how we can help the parents help themselves instead of policing our way to security. So I'm not in favor of a curfew.
Now, this goes to a general question of crime. How do you feel about the crime situation in Salisbury? You feel...
Well, I don't think it's improved. You know, statistically, they say that violent crime has gone down, and that may be the case if you just look at police reports, but there's a lot of stuff that's not reported. I've talked to everybody in the neighborhoods that, you know, I'm running for, and they tell me that they don't feel that the situation, according to their feeling, has really improved. I work at Walmart. That's my third job, and I can tell you that they're shoplifting almost every week. Police are up in our store every single week getting somebody that's busted for shoplifting, and most of them are about college age or in their 20s or 30s. So I don't think it's improved in the big picture, because people shoplift because, again, they're suffering. They don't have any money. They can't pay their bills. They can't buy anything. So what they do, they resort to stealing. Is it right? No, it's not right. But the only way that I think we can burn this candle of crime and unemployment is to burn it at both ends. We have to look at the job situation, and then we have to look at the crime situation and try to burn the candle at both ends. What do I mean? Look at both of those issues simultaneously and not get into a reactionary response like, okay, let's impose a curfew or let's pass this law. Because I'm a political scientist. I've taught government. Constitutionally, laws are supposed to pass very slow and deliberate and very carefully. You have to discuss things for months, sometimes years at a time. You can't do a quick fix law, pass it quickly and say, okay, we fixed the problem. Because when laws are not perfect and when laws are put together in a very quick way, it produces problems. And so what we have to do is we've got to go carefully talk to neighborhoods, talk to parents. How can we resolve the situation? What can we do? What kind of programs can we bring in to train young kids or to train parents? I think that's a good way to go about it. I feel at the bottom of my heart that parents are overwhelmed. In our city and, you know, nationally, what's going on is there's a lot of single moms. Especially in our neighborhood, there's a lot of, maybe the father's not there, or maybe the father's working, or the mother's at home. So I think people are desperately trying to, in a good way, pay their bills, and they may not be at home, and the kid is there by itself. When I campaign, I see sometimes kids by themselves in the house, and you know, I usually go in daytime. At nighttime, I see kids, you know, running around and playing around, and that's fine. But I think parents are overwhelmed. That's where we're having a little bit of trouble with parents trying to, you know, raise their kids 24 hours a day. They can't do it anymore because everybody has to have 2 jobs, 3 jobs. What does that mean? That means they're out of the house, they have a relative over there, or they hired a nanny, or the father stays at home, or vice versa. So I think the crime situation is not as simple to fix as just passing a curfew. So we're Americans. I mean, personal freedoms and liberties are really sensitive to us. I mean, if you remember back in history, you know, back in the 1800s, 1700s, when we tried to throw the British out, I mean, we took pitchforks and guns just to kick the British out. And we're always wary of government. I mean, in the Eastern Shore, how many times do you see a sticker that says, "Don't tread on me," or "Secede from the Union"? Now that's a little, you know, that's a little extreme, but it just proves to you that people don't like government telling them what to do all the time. So that's what I have to say about crime.
Now, what about, how do you feel about downtown Salisbury revitalization? What are your thoughts on that?
I think the community split. Personally, I think it's a good way to bring the community together. But honestly, the cost of having a good time in downtown is a little expensive. I myself went down there on 3rd Friday, and I went to art gallery. I mean, each piece was $75 to $100. I don't have disposable income to spend like that. You know, there are some nice shops. There's a coffee shop there. I've had coffee there. I went to the sushi place with my wife. We spent about $50 a plate. It's very expensive. But I think if you have disposable money, Salisbury downtown area is great for you. It's great to bring people together. That doesn't mean people are going to spend money to buy anything. I think it's a good start, but I think it's too right now. It's too narrow for everybody to appreciate, because when I go to my own community, when I talk to people, they say, I don't even have disposable money to go to downtown. I can't even go down there because it's too expensive or it's too far. And the last thing that I hear from people is that, where are the jobs? That's the main priority. I mean, I can't even find a job, and we're spending all of our tax money in the downtown area. And by the way, if you didn't know already, your tax money is being used to subsidize rent for artists, for electricity and for water. Is that a bad thing? Well, it benefits some people, but we don't have much money in this city. Let's be honest with each other. What we need is private investment from those who have money, meaning companies, investors, to invest in us. The city of Salisbury doesn't have the money. This is the truth. This is simple arithmetic. They don't have the money to invest in jobs. They have a little bit, but I think what we can do is not focus so much on fringe benefits. We have to look at most people's situation. 33% of Salisbury residents are at poverty or below poverty. That's 1 out of 3 people. You do the math.
What would be some of your ideas, speaking of business, to bring businesses into Salisbury? What could you bring to the table to entice people to come to Salisbury to bring jobs?
The most common thing that's happening around the country, John, is that companies are getting tax breaks from the government. They get a 10-year break. They don't pay a certain tax.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is lowering of regulations. Some cities that have benefited from this are like Chattanooga, Tennessee, where Volkswagen has a plant. It's a huge operation. You have cities like in Arizona, where the Gigabit factory, I think it's in Arizona if I remember right, the Gigabit factory that puts batteries together. These states are kicking our rear end in Maryland. They know what it takes. We have to look at their example and see what did they get right to get businesses down there. We have to learn from the leaders of government in different states on what we need to do in Maryland. Now, the unique situation we have is that even if we entice business through lowering of taxes or lowering of regulation, we have to also worry about the Chesapeake Bay, because the state of Maryland is a very sensitive ecological system. We all know the Chesapeake Bay Foundation. They're very active in lobbying in Annapolis to bring legislation that is friendly to the environment. So I'm along with that, because I think if we destroy our environment like smokestacks, it's not gonna be sustainable, because if we're polluting the environment for 10 years, you're polluting the water, the fishing industry, the crabbing industry is gonna get hit, because everything leads to the Chesapeake Bay. So we need to be smart in what kind of businesses and manufacturing we're bringing. We want those companies that are environmentally friendly, whether they're American or foreign, doesn't matter, because we live in a global economy. We can't sit here and say, okay, we have our doors closed to the rest of the world. No, we can't. Everything in Walmart is made in China. Everything that is made in China is affordable for us to buy. That's the bottom line. So we need to be smart about balancing regulation to protect our environment and to lower the taxes or bring something. And this is going to be a long process. This is not going to be overnight, because we have thousands of pieces of legislation in Salisbury alone. Let me tell you something. We have 2,400 ordinances in Salisbury alone. 2,400, almost there. The technical number I remember, I think it's 2,300 something. That's how many laws we have just for ordinance. Now, state of Maryland jobs, we're subject to that also. So this is going to be a drawn out process. We're going to need to hire the city lawyer to tell us, okay, what are we doing that we're standing in the way of companies coming down here? One thing I can tell you is this. We're at the bottom of the list, ladies and gentlemen, in competitiveness with businesses. In all of our 50 states and territories overseas, we're close to the bottom of the list. We're like number 44 or 45. So we are going wrong somewhere. And most of the time, people know where we're going wrong. So that's my introduction on what plan I have to make the businesses come down here.
What are some particular problems that you see in the district that you're trying to represent that maybe people aren't aware of?
I think some of it is This is a sensitive issue because race comes into the picture. I know we always want to, say we're Americans, we're from Salisbury. We don't want to focus too much on divisive issues or controversial issues, but race still influences the dialogue with the law enforcement, with trust with people who are elected to office. And we need to have our ears very close to what specifically is the problem. One of it is that the trust between the residents in my district and the police has eroded to the point because they keep circling the neighborhoods, and they're trying to, of course they're trying to make sure that, patrolling is just a basic function to keep security. But profiling is the problem because of the fact that especially black people, they feel that they are racially profiled. And so there are some programs that the police is trying to bring better relationship with the community and their relations. Is it working? Hard to say. We have to look at the numbers, we have to look at the results. We just can't, willy-nilly say that it's working or not. I think it's good that we have this program, but we have a long way to go, because also the other problem is incarcerations. When you are incarcerated, when you're convicted of anything that is on your record, affects your chances for employment. You can't get a job if you have a record. Black and white. This is not a gray matter. Employers don't want to hire you if you have something on your record. People know this already. It's not something that I invented. What are we going to do about it? Well, I think we have to find a way to give people as many chances as possible so that they can lift themselves up, lift their communities up, and become productive citizens. Some of the richest, most successful entrepreneurs in our country were in jail before. We have plenty of examples I can give you. NFL stars, Dr. Ben Carson, the gentleman that is running for the Republican Party for the presidential race. When he was a kid, he almost killed somebody with a knife. So should we incriminate him for life? He can't get a job? No. Dr. Ben Carson went and educated himself in Johns Hopkins University, became one of the best neurosurgeons, and I met him, by the way. My father knows him also. So these are the examples that we need to give people second chances, third chances, as many as needed for them to succeed. We can't incriminate people, because when you incriminate people and they can't get a job, guess what? They're going to go back out and do the same thing they did before and end up back in jail. And who benefits from this? The prison industry. Prison industry is an industry. Let's just call it what it is. They profit from you getting locked up.
So in conclusion, what would you like to just say to the voters as a conclusion to when they're going out to the polls in November? Why should they vote for you?
Well, I hate gloating. I hate talking about myself, but
that's the name of the game.
That's the name of the game, right? I feel that I really care most about people's ability to reach their dreams. That's what I'm about. This is not just about money. This is not just about job. This is about the highest level of human achievement. I want you to be happy. I want you to be able to reach your dreams. Even if it seems impossible, I'm going to do whatever I can in the next 4 years for you to get one step closer or 2 steps closer to your dream. This is not about money. When people get their money, they're after dreams. That's what they're after. Most people that I know, they don't like their jobs. I want to change this picture. I want people to be happy about their lives. I want them to have pride about Salisbury. I want them to have pride about where they live, because let me tell you this, most people want their dignity back, and that's what I'm after. Bring the dignity back through concrete action, results, and not just hot air. And I mean that respectfully, hot air. I don't want to talk my way to elections. I don't want to talk my way to the next 4 years. I know you have choices among other candidates, but my focus on jobs as my central promise to you stands apart from other candidates that are focusing on law enforcement, on our other issues that are not the primary concern of people at the end of the month. So that's what I gotta say. And lastly, this is an emotional thing for me. This is personal. This is not about me trying to profit or trying to make money or anything else. Every job has to pay you something. But I want to put a smile on people's face. I want people to be happy. I want people to have faith in their government, because I know faith in our government is lost. People don't vote anymore. In the last election, 2013, 19% voted for the council elections. 19%. Not even 1 out of 4. So if we can bring better results, better concrete actions, I think we can turn this picture around so people can have some pride in their government, some trust back into the government. And I will be coming to your house and visiting you and talking to you until the last day, November 2nd. That's a promise, and that's all I've been doing the whole time. Thank you for your time, and God bless the city of Salisbury. God bless these United States of America. Thank you.